So what are the requirements for the ideal professional hunting knife? We've had a look at what you need. What does a professional hunter need to have the ideal multi-tool? We'll discuss this with Karl Leonard in a minute. I'm David Sutherland. I'm here with Karl Leonard from Lionhearted Bladeworks, and Karl and I, he's a personal friend, we got together and we had a chat about what is the ideal professional hunter's knife. There is a startling array of characteristics which this knife must comply with. I have 50 knives like most hunters, but not one of the knives actually complies fully with my requirements for a professional hunter's knife. Professional hunters will chop, cut, skin, even use it as a lever. So we need to design or have a look at what are the requirements for the ideal professional hunting knife. Obviously, knives are about the blades. First of all, so Karl, what do you think are the ideal requirements in terms of a blade for a professional hunter?
You know, ultimately, a good hunting knife needs to have, if we start with the steel, you sit with the caveat continuously of toughness and edge retention versus corrosion resistance. So a good PH knife needs to be able to be used, as you mentioned, in the bush, whether that is skinning, caping, cutting down a tree or a rope, as well as be able to have the edge retention that it needs to ultimately skin an animal. So you've got different types of steels. You've got your high carbon stainless steels, which are great when it comes to corrosion resistance, but then they are not as tough as your high carbon steels that need a bit more maintenance. So I think when we were chatting, we kind of summed it up that a good outfit or PH knife needs to have a knife that is tough, that needs maybe a little bit of maintenance, but that is able to fulfill all those tasks. So what we discussed is that a high carbon steel, which will oxidize if it is left uncleaned, is the way to go because of the toughness and the edge retention on that blade. So when we were chatting, we decided that a steel like a ATCRV2, which is a Swedish steel, is a good starting point for that knife. Moving on from that, if we can just touch a bit on the blade thickness, a lot of guys want a super hardy, thick knife, but we found that being professional hunters, you walking through the bush for excessive amounts of time, it gets very cumbersome and heavy. So around a 3.2 mil thick blade is more than adequate. With this, coupled with the steel that you're using, that weight and strength is not compromised on. Then in regards to the edge on a knife, that is a big thing. Everyone has an opinion on this, but an all-round sharp knife that can be used for skinning as well as for more utilitarian tasks, around a 25-degree edge works about the best, and that's in my opinion. On the blade itself, I'm just going to step back here. When you look at this hunter of ours, it's got good jimping on the top. What is the jimping used for? The jimping is used for good retention on the knife, getting a good purchase on the knife so that you've got grip when using the knife for cutting in a utilitarian task. And then if you swing it around and you use it in a caping or skinning manner, you've got good purchase with your finger on it so that you're not slipping off. Because remember, you've got a lot of grit, you've got blood, water that you're using this knife in, and you don't want to slip off the blade. So that's the next part to it. Then the other thing that we spoke about was on the bottom of the blade, this sharpening choil. I don't know if the camera can see it from here, but that choil, to remove that choil, because that choil actually snags when cutting a throat or when skinning. So not having a sharpening choil on the bottom. And then lastly, what I can say is, obviously you've got things like your swedge on the top and then a good neutral handle scale so that you, in any grip, you have got a good retention on the blade and you're not struggling with all the different finger grooves and so forth. So that is about the blade.
And then, Karl, the handle as well. We need something which is durable.
Yes.
Something which has good grip when it's wet or dry.
Yes.
Can lie in a bucket of water overnight and nothing happens to your grip. It's a nice, durable grip. So what did we discuss there? What do you propose?
So what I propose is a G10 handle scale. We all love wood. We love the look of it. But in terms of reliability on a working knife, a G10 handle scale is by far the best. So G10 is an extremely strong material. It's a fiberglass reinforced resin, and it is just, I want to say indestructible. Anything is destructible, but it comes very close to it. So the G10 handle scale that is slightly stippled works exceptionally well because you're not going to break it in the bush. To give you an indication on this knife, we mechanically fit the handles onto the knife with a 4-ton press. So that G10 is holding 4 tons of pressure on either rivet. And that makes it extremely work hardy, and it just makes it a good all-round heavy use knife.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a fact that professional hunters' equipment, knives included, are often abused and, exposed to unintended abuse. It's the environment in which we work.
Yes.
And that's just one of those things. But what about the sheath as well? We have problems with leather sheaths. They loose, the guys lose them, they rain wet. Leather is an organic medium and it's not that tough.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll tell the guys watching what we decided in terms of the sheath.
So if I can start here, a lot of men are carrying and women are carrying a sidearm. And nowadays, everyone trusts their pistol in a Kydex sheath. But the knife world has lagged behind, and they still want to utilize things like leather, which are flawed in many regards. So what we have decided is to do a Kydex carry option so that you've got a good sheath that is element resistant as well as got great retention. You need a knife that clips in and you don't lose the knife. That is a huge part of being in the bush. You're on a blood spoor or you're moving quickly through the bush. It can get snagged up, and you want a good retention on the knife so that you have your knife when you need it. And then on the sheath, if I can just branch out from there, carry options. The old school knives hang on your side, and that poses a bit of a problem. With a knife hanging on your side, first of all, you've got the noise element. If you are carrying a backup gun with you, the gun is constantly bumping up against a kong, kong, kong through the bush, and it makes a lot of noise. The second thing, you jump into the bucky and it's digging into your backside, and that is also uncomfortable. So what we've come up with was a carry option that is out of the way. So we put a leather strap onto it simply so that has the moldability to your body and form towards all our different body shapes and contours. And then what we highly recommend is to carry in a scout carry fashion. So I'm going to just give a turn around, and it runs horizontal with your belt, and it is not in the way. So it's not digging in your backside when you get into the bucky. And the big thing, it's not bumping or scratching your beautiful wood stock on your gun. So that is, on the sheath, just as important as the blade itself, the carry option.
Okay, great. So the part I'm most excited about, Karl and I were talking, and we were going to do this about the ideal hunting knife. And at the end of our discussion, we said, well, why don't we design the ideal hunting knife, and we include all the options or all the requirements which Karl and I have just discussed and what he said. So the exciting part is we've got a little bit of a blank over here. We're going to, on the beginning phases of designing the ideal professional hunting knife. We're going to call it the PH Pro First Edition, and it includes all the requirements that Karl has just discussed in terms of metal, shape, size, and the Kydex carry sheath will be included as well. So I'm very excited about the first edition of this knife, which is going to be available shortly, and we'll have that in an upcoming video as well. So that is the really exciting part of this. Karl, thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to it, and we'll hopefully have our knife available for the viewers to have a look at. and probably order online soon as well. Please remember to like and subscribe to this video. You don't want to miss out on a future video where we are going to be demonstrating and showing the final product of our new PH Pro.